What's up, Grind Squad? It's DG back again, and as you may have guessed by now, we're going to do a hero highlight on Krisk the Ageless. I'm going to show you all the fun things you can do with him, show you where he works, and even throw you in a little bit of bonus information that I'm sure a lot of people don't know that pertains to quite a few heroes in Raid Shadow Legends. So make sure you stay tuned in for that. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is DragnGrind. I'm here to show you how to play hard, grind hard, without sweating too hard. So if you like this content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Turn the notification bells on so you can stay up to date with all my content drops. So we're going to jump right into it. Krisk is a top tier defensive scaling hero. He can be a defensive carry in many areas of the game, as well as a debuffer in certain scenarios and team comps, a buff extender, a speed booster, and he can hit fairly well. He can also pretty much carry you through any dungeon. He becomes very effective in clan boss, depending on how your team's set up and all that. And he is top tier platinum viable arena meta hero, as well as you could imagine. He is superb for his faction wars. Jumping into the beast himself, Krisk is a defensive scaling monster with quite a bit of tricks in his kit. His A1 is an AoE with up to a 50% chance once booked to place the big boy decrease speed debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. That's huge. That's very effective in most aspects of the game. Great A1. And it doesn't take many books to book it up to its max potential. His A2 is an AoE that places the 50% ally protection on all allies except for himself, of course, for 2 turns, and then gives himself 2 continuous heal buffs, 15% mind you, for 1 turn to alleviate some of that incoming damage that's coming in, as well as the biggest part of his A2 and one of my favorite aspects of Krisk. It increases the duration of all ally buffs for 1 turn. Now, this doesn't work on block damage, unkillable, or block revive, I do not believe. But it does work on counterattack, continuous heal buffs, defense up, attack up, crit bonus, crit damage buffs that are, fairly new. Works on all of those, can be very effective in, many areas of the game. Now, as A3 is, in my mind, it's kind of a double-edged sword depending on, your roster and everything and how you plan on using him, where you plan on using him, all that, and I'll get into that. But his A3 has a 100% chance of placing the provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Mind you, outside of being resisted, it will land, and that makes him just great for arena as well as dungeon waves and, really keeping your squishies together and, not dying. Then it places a 60% increased defense buff on himself for 2 turns and places a 30% AoE increased speed buff on all your allies except for himself. Now, this is really good because you can use him as a secondary speed buffer in arena, as well as doing AoE provoke to really control your enemies, things like that. Same as viable in dungeons. And this, but at the same time, this skill in a counterattack team and clan boss can be very iffy. We'll go over more about, where to use him and how to use him and all that later on. Now, the skill that makes just Krisk broken, just super OP, is his passive. At the start of each round, which means each wave, including the boss, or at the start of arena, or even clan boss, anything like that, he will place a shield buff on all allies, including himself, for 2 turns equal up to 50% of his max HP. He has a pretty solid max HP. We'll get into the stats in a minute. It also has a 75% chance of placing the big boy version of decreased defense and the big boy version of decreased attack buff on the attacker for 1 turn when he's hit. Now that's big because that means between that and his provoke, it becomes very effective in, waves and multi-enemy, battle formats, things like that. But it can also be useful in a few other places. We'll get to that later as well. As far as his books go in general, he takes, let me see, is that 5, 9, and 11, 14 books. Kind of a lot of books, but some of his better ones are straight to the point books. On his A3, 2 books to get it to a 3-turn cooldown. His A2 is a little expensive, but it's well worth it. This is definitely a skill I suggest you book up all the way. So that way you can get it down to a 3-turn cooldown, and his increase the duration of ally buffs, aka counterattack, will be effective on a 3-turn rotation for clan boss. Very important. As well as getting these debuff chances for his passive to increase the chances of the decreased defense and decreased attack debuffs landing on the enemies when he's hit. That can be very helpful as well. So on his books, he's a little expensive, but he's definitely worth booking. As far as his primary stats go, he has a pretty solid general level of HP for a legendary. He is a defensive scaling hero, so he kind of doesn't need a crazy HP pool, but that's, 19k, that's pretty solid. Attack doesn't matter for him. 15,020 defense. That's a very good base defense for, at any level of rarity for heroes. His base speed is 94. That is crazy low, but with the exception of for arena, you're not necessarily going to need him to be your fastest hero. So just building him up to that level where you're at is, shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, coming up to my favorite place to really use him in the game. Due to my roster, I have a little flexibility in my clan boss composition, so I like using him in clan boss for his attack down and defense down. Now, my team's still in the works because I have a lot of duplicate roles and things like that. It's a whole nother video. We'll get to that some other time. But getting into his kit, and we'll run through some of these turns real quick. He is mainly here to provide the attack down and the defense down, as well as another skill that I'm actually about to show you right here. His A2 is ally protection. Throwing this ally protection up during the clan boss's AoE waves is huge, especially, you load him up with defense and it really mitigates a lot of that damage. As well as he has the 15% continuous heal buffs, and I'll show you why that's important later when we get to gearing and all of that. But you throw up that ally protection, he does a little damage, has a chance to proc his War Master, he throws up ally protection as well as defense on himself, which my comp already comes with. But other than that, I don't run counterattack myself. So really speed is key for me, and really pumping out these turns and making sure that I can, get as many turns in as possible before the clan boss ramps his damage up too much. The ally protection will help me survive more, but Krisk also comes with a skill that in my particular situation can be very effective, to help my team get in more turns. And I find that it really helps it really helps get in, load up the debuff bar and stuff like that and keep that full. But it kind of hinders my fact of, the fact of me doing rotations and getting a sequence down to my cleanse and my defense up and things like that with my other heroes. But it's his A3. Provoke don't work. Defense up is single target for himself, so that really ain't that big of a deal. But placing that speed up on all of my rest of my champions can be very helpful. So we're gonna use his speed buff, and I've timed it where his speed buff comes before the stun, so that way, whenever I use his A2 again on after the stun before the first AOE, it will actually extend the speed buff that he just gave last turn. Like, Bad L's at 1 turn. I'll use this right here. It'll bump him back up to 2 turns, as well as ally protection, and boost all these other buffs up. And it just keeps all of my buffs up pretty consistently, especially the ones that are on 2-turn buffs with 3-turn cooldown. It can keep those up at 100%. Now, the one thing about using Krisk in Clan Boss is, without someone like him right there, Vizier, he is not a viable attack down or defense down hero, because even though the clan boss does hit him on the AoEs, it does not hit him on the stun. At least not in my build. He's just too tanky due to his ally protection, so he doesn't get hit on the stun, which means the clan boss will lose the attack down right there. But if you have someone like Warlord, Septimus, or Vizier preferably, once that defense down or attack down hits, you can all you have to do is extend it 1 time per rotation, to make it 100% uptime on the attack down, on the defense down, and that is just amazing. And one thing, and I have tested this, and there's a, I'm going to put out a whole video because I know it's a topic. Even though Krisk has the speed reduction on his A1, if you're going to solely use him in Clan Boss, you can actually build Krisk with absolutely no accuracy. I ran him in Fire Knight, I ran him in Clan Boss just to test it out. But his passive here, when he's hit, there is no resistor or landing. There's no resist involved. Accuracy is not needed. The Clan Boss hits you if his 75% up to 100% chance to proc the defense down, attack down procs, it will land. I've ran him in Fire Knight with 80, Fire Knight 20 with 80 accuracy. I've ran him in Clan Boss with 80 accuracy. Does not miss an attack down and defense down. Again, there's other heroes like Madame and Drex and Bulwark and other heroes that have a debuff associated with them being hit, and I'm going to go test more of those to make sure that that none of them need accuracy to land those skills, those debuffs. Now, moving on to Arena. In my opinion, this is probably what he was designed for the most. I utilized him pretty much everywhere in the game. I love him in Clan Boss. He has really helped me in dungeons, but everything in his kit is absolutely useful in Arena. I use him, and as you can tell, I tend to catch them dubs a lot, but this is the kind of team I use him in. I'm farming gold 4. That's what, that's my objective right now, is to just farm Arena, not push it, but he is amazing in it. I run him in a speed nuke team. He's in here for crowd control, but also that little speed boost on his A3, on his AoE provoke skill. He'll AoE provoke, he'll throw himself up some little defense, and he'll give a speed boost buff to my entire team. So I got Seeker, or maybe you have Arbiter or Gorgorab for a turn meter increase and attack up, and then he'll throw a speed buff on top of that. It just, just keeps piling on the useful mechanics for Arena. Not to mention his AoE speed decrease and ally protection. Just so many different things that he adds to Arena. I'll go in here and, show you a quick run. I'm pretty much at the bottom of my list. So he'll throw up his shield. Now, that's also a very huge thing. Even though he's a defense scaling hero, you might want to throw a significant amount of HP on him, especially if you're going to use him in Arena, because of his shield. Now, we're here, and yeah, their Arbiter, Lysandra combo, they got the first mix in, but from here on out, even with my team in shambles, it's not going to affect me too bad, because, excuse me, got the kids running around, because he throws up an AoE provoke. Now, this right here, she must have resisted it. His provoke, unlike his attack down and defense down, that cannot necessarily be resisted, no accuracy needed. His provoke can be resisted, but it's a 100% chance to proc. So if they're not a high resistance hero, it's pretty much going to land all the time. On top of that, in situations like this, if I'd have went first and not been able to, wipe the team immediately, especially in a higher tier Arena, he has that ally protection to really soak up some of that damage and keep, your DPS and support alive a lot better. So that's just a little quick run right there. And if you don't, if you don't take my word for it, as far as my battle log goes, I stay with, pretty good victories. I've got Krisk in here, as well as, a little speed nuke defense team. But even in the top tier of their Arena, the platinum tier, top 20, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are hegemons and Siffies and all of that up here. 5, 6, let me see, 6 in the top 20 teams have Krisk in it, and he's a void legendary, so some of these other people would probably run him, but they haven't pulled him. So if you have pulled him, GG to you. So, it kind of stands just looking at his kit and looking at how other people have used him. It's undeniable. He is a top tier, Arena hero, both on offense and defense. Okay, now I wanted to slide in my worst of my worst that I have in the game. Krisk, Fire Knight is my slowest dungeon by far. It's kind of giving me some of the most trouble to get down under a reasonable amount of time. But Krisk is a big help here. I'm running Cold Heart. I'm running a lure. They're both fairly squishy. I have a rare in here that isn't like crazy builds or anything like that. But Krisk kind of keeps everybody alive. I'm gonna show you a little bit of a run through on this. All right, so getting into Fire Knight, or really any of the dungeon waves, I'm gonna show a little bit about what Krisk can do. As you can tell, when he came in, he threw a shield up on everyone. Then his very first turn, he prioritized the AoE provoke, which also has the speed increase on it. Very solid. And then his second turn is actually about to come up, and he's gonna lay out that AoE ally protection, do a little continuous heal buff on himself, and really he brings so much sustain uh, from his defensive buffs that is just pretty insane. It allows my squishies like Allure, Cold Heart, and my Zargala's even built a little glass cannon like, mainly because I use her in like Arena as a buff nuker and things like that. But he just keeps him alive. The very next wave starts, he throws up another fat shield automatically, and they just, they keep rolling out. That allows for heroes who have, if you only have a singular healer or you're relying heavily on lifesteal and masteries and things like that, it allows them to build back up after every wave and really kind of brings, this long lasting sustain through these difficult dungeons. And not to mention he has a little bit of everything as far as debuffs go in his kit. So, regardless of what dungeon you're going up against, whether you're going to be facing huge AoEs or, you've got heroes like an Ice Golem where they throw up the reflect damage. He lays out that provoke. It avoids that for a turn. Just any bunch of little things like that add up to just one hell of a package. And he brings it all. So I'm not going to sit here through this whole Fire Knight run. Just know it takes way longer than I'd like. But Chris does help me get it accomplished with my team. I'm missing some components and things like that. Gets it done. So we're going to go ahead and go take a look at his gearing, talk a little bit about masteries and things like that. So taking a general look at Chris, there's some clear and obvious things that are going to stand out to anyone seasoned at building heroes in Raid. He's defense scaling, so stacking up defense between the battle between defense and HP on the sustain. With Chris, defense wins hands down. But do keep in mind that his passive throws up that shield, and that shield is determined by HP. So when you're building it, you have to kind of consider whether you wanting to be, more there for the first few turns, such as Arena, maybe Faction Wars, depending on where you're going to use him. Or if you're going to be relying more heavily on his ally protection, which would require a higher defense, which would probably be like longer dungeon battles and clan boss especially. So other than that, accuracy is going to be a big thing for him. And then as always in Raid, speed, either a bunch of it or speed tuned. So that, that's all kind of determined by, how you're going to use him, what kind of comps, your roster limitations. I have all of my clan boss heroes speed tuned to Ultra Nightmare because that's, the level that I can hit at. So he has 191 speed. That's pretty solid in Arena. He usually is, one of the first few heroes to go first. He can lay out that AoE provoke. He's one of the last heroes to go in my clan boss team, so that way everyone lays down their buffs. He comes through with his A2 and, increases the duration of all those buffs. So speed's kind of dependent on, your roster, what kind of comps you put him in, things like that. Accuracy is quite different as well. He pretty much needs accuracy everywhere to land his AoE speed debuff, to land that provoke, things like that. But if there is a scenario per se where you're only going to use him in clan boss, you have Vizier or Warlord or Septimus, someone that can do at least one debuff extension per rotation after he, lands the attack down and defense down. I'll say this again. I hinted at it earlier. You do not need accuracy to land these when, debuff on the attacker for one turn when Krisk is hit. Don't need it. Video coming soon. Just trust me on this. So if per se you was just going to use him just for clan boss, you don't need any accuracy, which would allow you to build him. And I'm highly considering it. Taking off my accuracy necklace, things like that. and just throwing him straight in heavy defense and HP to make, massive shield for arena and dungeons, and then heavy defense for his ally protection and clan boss. That's all theory crafting. Come stop by the stream. I stream 3 days a week during the day, Eastern Standard Time, and then Friday and Saturday evenings. So, if you want to theory craft with me about Krisk a little more, feel free to stop by there. Link will be down in the description. But essentially, there's a few ways to build him. Since he's defense scaling, he has ally protection, he's going to take a lot of damage. Lifesteal is a strong possibility for him, especially in clan boss. So he gets full heals off of those War Master procs. But I actually went something a little different. I went to emphasize that ally protection even more, and I threw stalwart gear on him. Seems to be working out pretty solidly, honestly, between that and the fact that I have him in defense tree masteries for damage reduction. Works wonderful. You could probably also throw him in immortal and defense gear if he was only in speed gear, speed, accuracy, defense, immortal. Some kind of combination of that, depending on what gear you have available for arena or dungeons. But lifesteal, stalwart, those are going to be the specialty builds that I would definitely lean towards. One very self-sustaining with high accuracy, speed, defense, and then one just immensely high defense and damage mitigation all around for stalwart. As far as his stats go, I'm Ultra Nightmare tuned. I got him over the 35,000, over the 4,000 defense. I've got him actually up to 5,000 defense, and if I max out his jewelry, swap his banner around, really take advantage of the fact that I don't need accuracy for him in clan boss, I could make him 6k easy. Speed tune to 191, and really I just have that speed tune like that, so that way he always goes right before the clan boss. Even in a speed dot team where everyone's speed and turn order gets all jacked up, placing him right there will make sure he's always the last one to go in a turn for the clan boss, and he'll be able to throw up his ally protection, extend buffs, anything like that. He actually really can hit fairly hard, not nuke status hard, but he can definitely deal out some solid damage in arena and dungeons with his A2, and his A1 ain't bad neither. So if you have the room to throw a little crit rate on him, maybe take the accuracy off, throw a crit rate on him for clan boss. It'll help you put in some solid damage. He naturally has the 50 resistance, so that gives you a little bump when you're trying to build him high resistance, high defense for arena. Many options that you can build him in, but all in all, it kind of sticks around whether you need that accuracy or not. And if you don't, if you're just going to use him in clan boss, what can you pump those extra stats into? Because between his HP, his defense, getting the speed right, throwing a little crit rate on him, anything, the sky's the limit. Krisk, it can be built many different ways, and just about every way I've tried him, he's a beast in. But I like the stalwart build. That's what I'm going to stick with. His primary stats are going to be speed, depending on how you're going to use him as a primary, accuracy for every area but clan boss, which you're probably going to use him in a lot of different areas, so I'm going to count accuracy as the number 2 highest stat, and then defense percent over HP percent as far as his sustain. Those are really solid. The lifesteal, speed, accuracy, stalwart, and mortal sets are perfect for him. For CB, of course, lean a little more speed. For arena, make sure you keep that accuracy and resist up. It can really help. And don't forget to pump his HP for the shield. Now let's go ahead and move on over to masteries. For masteries, there's a couple different ways to build him, and I will plug some graphics up over here for you guys to check out. This right here will be my clan boss build. I took the easy path down to War Master. I went with resist for a little bit for arena. Later on, when I push platinum tier, I'll that little bit of resist will be helpful. Some damage mitigation, some healing, more healing, debuff removal for dungeons and arena, as well as a little spread the resist and a counterattack, just so that way whenever he takes massive damage in the clan boss, he'll shoot one back. That mixed with life drinker, and he'll be able to give himself a little bit of a heal. And then the selfless defender is a solid mastery for him. So that way he reduces the damage his allies receive and he receives it instead. I'm not quite sure how, the mechanic breaks down, whether it's the same damage the other, your ally would receive comes to him or not. But either way, he tanks. As far as highlight masteries go, the offense tree, pretty much just Life Drinker because he tends to stay under 50% in health. Maybe Grim Resolve if you're wanting to, soak a little more damage out of him. And then other than that, it's just the War Master. He is a War Master hero. Crit rate or crit damage won't really help him. He doesn't have enough hits for Giant Slayer, so War Master is the way to go. As far as the defense tree goes, Blast Proof right here to decrease the damage received by AoEs. Paired with the Selfless Defender, they go very nicely. Delay Death, not quite sure which one that is. Where you at, Delay Death? Uh-oh, I seem to have lost one of my primary delay death. Oh, reducing the damages champion receives from a specific enemy. Solid and dungeon bosses, even maybe certain Rotos, Mountain King, certain hard hitters, and arena, and clan boss, of course. As far as the support tree goes, he does throw up his shield, so things like Shield Bearer, Healing Savior, and Merciful Aid all will increase his shield. Very helpful depending on circumstances and all of that. Charged Focus, when he does up his AoE Provoke, he prioritizes it in his AI, so that'll be the first skill he uses, which means you can get an additional 20% accuracy to help you land that Provoke. So Charged Focus is solid. And if you're not running counterattack, avoid these masteries if you are running counterattack, but if you're not, he can benefit both from Arcane Celerity when he does the defense down and attack down up, and they expire, and the rapid response when he does his ally protection or his speed buff up. He can increase his turn meter, which can be very helpful in arena dungeons, things like that. Since he does have the ally protection, the speed buff, the defense up, the continuous heal buffs, lasting gifts. If you're going to go support tree, lasting gifts is ideal for him, without a doubt. And if you want a little more, especially if you're running like a Warlord or Septimus or someone like that for the extensions, you go Master Hexer on him to really help keep that attack down and defense down up and make him your sole attack down, defense down hero without needing a Vizier. So, combining that mastery and a fairly reliable extender can really open up your clan boss team to different comps and adding different roles to it. That's about it for the masteries. The only things that I can really say left about the guy is a few points on his weaknesses. You really got to watch his defense depending on where you're going. You don't want him to have low defense because he has the ally protection. He's going to soak up a lot of damage. So that's going to be something that can really kind of mess up a run if you have his defense too low. Other than that, the main areas of the game that he's not going to be solid at is like Spider. Even though he can throw up that AoE provoke and he has the AoE speed decrease, I just really don't see him bringing much to the team as far as keeping people alive past the big spider and the spiderlings and all of that and the poisons. I don't really see his ally protection being enough to sustain you through there. If you're running an unkillable type of comp in Spider, maybe you could get away with the debuff extension and then everything else in his kit. But I really don't see him being all that great at Spider, and he's just too slow for campaign farming. I have tried him. Now, I haven't crit damage built him, so maybe that would make a difference. He is solid full AoE, but again, he prioritizes A3, so he's going to, spend some time using off skills that doesn't necessarily clear the enemies. So he's just not going to be very good in campaign farming. To sum it up, he is a clan boss, debuff, sustain beast. If you have the ability to slot him in there, he does need a debuff extender to really consider him your attack down, defense down hero. But if you can slot him in there, he's going to add a lot of sustain, a lot of time on your runs to get in more damage, as well as a possible speed booster if you're not running counterattack. Other than clan boss, he's going to help you in dungeons. He's going to help you in faction wars. He's going to help you 3-star campaign. But hands down, his absolute best area of the game. And if you have him, he should be in your arena team. Maybe not defense, depending on how you set that up. But even then, he's going to be very good at keeping your team alive and frustrating the attacker. But his potential for arena offense is just amazing. Looking at the reviews, he's got a 5 in arena defense, a 4.9 in arena offense. Campaign locations has to be for 3-starring, nightmare and things like that. Clan boss 4.8, Spider's Den. I just don't see that working. I haven't built a team around him, but it's kind of not worth it neither. But and then all of these other areas he's going to be great at. Fire Knight, I'm actually surprised I gave him a 4.3. Yes, he has a one-hit A1, but he has a lot of sustain for the cold hearts and the lures and the other tricks that people use in Fire Knight, as well as he has a AoE speed reduction on his A1, and reducing speed and turn meter in Fire Knight is pivotal and great and amazing, and you should use it. Other than that, he's just great everywhere. A 5 on faction words. So, I mean, he's a turtle. He's a lizardman, but he's a damn Godzilla monster as far as I'm concerned when it comes to Raid Shadow Legends. It is just amazing. His stats are pretty damn good for his role. And he just brings so much to the table in every area of the game, and almost any team throw him on, he's gonna contribute. So all in all, I give Krisk S tier throughout the entire game. Not saying he's S tier in every area of the game, but overall, he is going to be great to contribute to almost every area of the game. He can do something for sure. So all in all, I'm happy I pulled him. When he first dropped with him and Lonicus, Lonicus was the highlight hero. I love Lonicus. Don't have her. Hopefully coming soon. I did pull Krisk quite a couple months back, and ever since then, it's just contributed so much to my teams. Very happy I have him. If you have him, and you've got any other kind of uses or builds for him, please leave them down in the comments. Let me know, because I'm still learning things about how useful he is. So definitely would like to know if there's any other ways I could utilize him. But that's probably all we're going to cover on Krisk today. So appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate you watching the video. I'll be doing plenty more hero highlights. So if there's any hero that you'd like to see, I have a pretty fat roster, stacked roster. Leave them down in the comments. I definitely read and respond, and will put the hero up on my list for sure. And until next time, happy grinding. May the shards break in your favor.